Today on the Hangout, Masai Ujiri lays the gauntlet down at locker cleanout day, and James Harden has an epic fail in the fourth and overtime. Shouts out to Manu, plus some Kelly on Kelly crime on Hangout. Basketball fans, my name is Akil Augustine, and this is Canada's home for talking hoops, the Hangout, coming to you from the belly of the beast that is the Air Canada Centre. The Toronto Raptors season over, kaput, finished, but locker cleanout day came, and we are here to break down in our very first segment all the prospects for the future. Welcoming in Dan Gladman. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Can we do the show every day? Because I have nothing else to do now.
No, you need to rest, relax, be ready for next season. Plus, we got Vegas, Summer League coming up.
That's in a month, 2 months.
Listen, enjoy your time off. Someone who's already lobbying for his pick for sixth man, I guess.
Yes, that's
Donovan
right.
Bennett from the score.
Lou Will.
Lou Will. And is that like a nod to your MVP candidate, Steph Curry there?
Steph Curry. Steph Curry with the shot boy. Can you spell kaput, by the way?
K-A-P-U-t.
No.
No?
I have no idea. I've never used the word.
K-A-P.
I'm right. Oh, in the ear, they said I'm right.
Wow.
And, of course, one of our favorite new members of the team, Kayla Gray from the TSN family. How you doing?
I'm good.
Why are you wearing a hockey shirt on my show?
Because I just felt like it.
All right, everybody, welcome Kayla on to her final appearance on the Hangout. All right, so.
Nice knowing you.
The big takeaway from locker cleanout day was Masai Ujiri saying he's calling for a culture reset. My question to you is, Donovan Bennett, can you reset the culture with the same pieces in place?
Yeah, probably not. No. I mean, you can't just run it back and think things are going to be different. Like, at some point, you are who you are. Everyone's talking about, and they're talking about pace and space and shooting all these threes. Well, your max player, DeMar DeRozan's not just going to learn to be a prolific three-point shooter overnight. He's added everything to his game that he can at this point, and every summer he comes back better, but a three hasn't been part of that. So, no, I think some big pieces have to change, whether that's on the court or on the sidelines, for you to truly change the culture.
Is it style of play? Is that the concern, Dan Gladman?
I mean, I think that is something that's on the table, is a discussion about style of play. And I don't want to say get away from a defensive focus, because defense is super important, but I do think that the culture of offense, the philosophy of it, maybe does have to go through a change, because we've seen in regular seasons that it's fine and it can be one of the top offenses, but year after year in the playoffs, things change, and the offense slows down, the ISO ball isn't as effective, and most importantly, the shooting percentages of Lowry and DeRozan have gone down each year.
So I'm asking the question as Donovan, can they reset this culture? Can they change that defense-first approach? Can they get a better offense with Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and Dwayne Casey still in place?
Well, if you're asking me,
yeah,
I think yes.
You think they can keep all three and get that work done?
Well, I think there would have to be other additions there. I think there's more help is
well, you're making
required
faces.
for those guys.
Hop in.
I mean, I don't think that they can have all three of them existing if you want a culture reset. If you want to really shake something in, you have to assess every single thing on the table, and I think coaching.
Let me throw something out there
coaching.
quickly. Having a culture reset of the Hangout, but keeping Akil, Dan, and Dwayne wouldn't work, right?
No, it wouldn't work. You need Kayla in there to, make her miss
exactly. Solid
point. But I mean, when you're talking about a culture reset, I think the first thing that comes to mind is coaching. And Masai made it very clear that he's had these conversations with Dwayne Casey about the style of play and how it's not working. Now, does Masai have to go out and add that shooting that this team really needs? I think so. But I think that it also comes down to maybe getting out of the defensive-minded coach that Dwayne Casey is, and we all love. But I think that you have to get that three-point shooting in there as well.
I mean, wait a minute. 2 years ago when they got smacked by the Wizards, everyone said, where's the defense? This team's not playing any defense.
Yep.
Right.
And then, after that, it's like we need a power forward. They went and got a power forward. So we're just moving the goalpost as to what the issue is. If you took Dwayne Casey off the sideline and switched him in for Ty Lue, or even a healthy Steve Kerr, would this team have beat the Cavs? No, they wouldn't have.
No.
And even if they did, they definitely aren't beating the Warriors. So
but would they have lost the way they did?
Probably, yeah.
Well, last year they won 2 games against this team.
Brad Stevens is a great coach. His team's about to get dealt with if they have the pleasure.
They may not make it out of this round, first off.
My point exactly. But when we talk about style of play, the Warriors' style of play works for their best player in Steph Curry. The Cavs' style of play works for their best player in LeBron James. This is a style of play that works for their best player, arguably, in DeMar DeRozan, But guess what?
But
Their best
not even a defensive player.
No, I'm talking about offensively.
Okay.
As far as ISO, their best player is not as good as the other best players still playing.
But you did mention that there
and
was
Dwayne Casey can't change that.
But there's a certain marriage between the philosophy of the coach and the best player that you were mentioning there.
But there's other parts to it here. You know, than the fact that they got swept by Cleveland in the playoffs. They didn't finish in first place in the East. They didn't even finish in first place in their division. These are all legitimate goals that can be set, that could have been achieved. So we don't only have to look at it in terms of, are they going to beat Cleveland or not? Maybe they can finish in first place. Can they do that with this, you know, the big three, the trio of Casey, DeRozan, and Lowry? And I still think the answer is yes.
Let's focus in on one of the guys who's probably the more likely candidate to move if anything does happen, and that would have to be Dwayne Casey. We're still waiting on what Kyle Lowry decides, so that's the first domino that has to fall. But can you see Casey on the sideline next year on a short leash, or is he gone?
I think short leash. I think he still stays. I don't think you can get rid of him.
You think they give him a chance
I
again
think that you give
in
him
this
a chance.
culture reset? I don't understand what a culture reset is. If it's the same pieces, it's like I'm gonna make split pea soup.
We're just trying to get this operating system moving a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So let's restart this bad boy.
I don't buy that. I really think that someone's got to go.
Can I think of an example of a culture reset that maybe happened? And forgive me if this is a poor example, but the Detroit Pistons, maybe 2008, 2009, they had won an NBA title, then they went to the Eastern Conference Finals for 5 or 6 straight years, but they couldn't get back to the finals. And finally, Joe Dumars said, we're not doing well enough, I'm blowing the whole thing up, and we're starting from scratch. How did that work for the Pistons?
Didn't really
They
work out
still
well.
haven't won a playoff round since that reset at that time.
Okay.
Do I know that that's what Masai means by that? I don't know. But I don't know, you know, I still think things maybe have to be done a little gradually.
Okay, well, we can look at the Warriors though, and Mark Jackson, who they were a playoff team, they're ascending. But Bob Myers says, listen, I think they've capped out. Let's bring a fresh set of eyes to this. And you know, Steve Kerr says there are some things that we could do to make life easier for Steph Curry, so on and so forth. Next thing you know, culturally they're different, and you know the rest is.
Okay, so let me throw this out here. Let me throw this out here. Masai Ujiri never been a knee-jerk, reactionary type of guy. He's obviously playing the game evenly, not firing Coach Casey yet, like some people thought was going to happen immediately after the season wrapped up. Is he waiting to see how these playoffs shake out? I know there are some names of assistant coaches who a lot of people feel can be billed as, you know, the next premier head coaches in this league. Is that kind of what the process is here, or is he giving Dwayne a chance to maybe come up with a formula for what he sees this culture change to be and then decide?
Yeah, I think at this point it's less of Dwayne and more of the waiting game. You're thinking about assistant coaches. You're also thinking about what Kyle's going to do. I mean, whether people want to make it seem as though, oh, well, you've got Corey. He's not a starting point guard. Get that out of your mind. But you're thinking about a huge piece that could be moving on and what you need to build around that team in order to fill that void, you know, in order to make them successful. So I think that it's a huge waiting game for Masai in terms of what he wants to do with the team.
Okay, now,
names out there, though.
We're approaching the 8.5-minute mark, and I got one major question I have to ask about the Raptors that we need to discuss. Kyle Lowry, in his presser yesterday, said that he wants to win a chip. He's opting out. Do you buy that he's trying to get a chip, or like the average basketball fan that looks at the brass tacks economics of the league says, this guy's a 31-year-old point guard, not a lot of time left, he's trying to get a max deal?
Yeah, he tried to go Beyonce and say, you know, but I'm just not, listen, when we're talking about the difference in $50 million, right, for anyone, life-changing money, how many rings can you buy for that amount of money? If he could go back up for the Warriors, if it was just about a ring.
Yep.
So when people say it's about a ring on my terms. Kobe really wanted a ring, but wanted one without Shaq.
Yes.
If he was all about just the rings, they would have found a way to stay together. If the Spurs are going to move a lot of money and he's going to get something close, then sure. But he's not taking a haircut just for a ring.
I'm giving you the final word on that one. That was a solid answer. I love the Beyonce comment. So you're the winner for the first segment. We still have more to come here on Canada's Home for Talking Hoops. We got to talk about the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs and the epic rebirth of Manu Ginobili's defense and the collapse of James Harden's offense. All that and more on Hangout.